And then what do you remember kind of when you first heard about like transcranial stimulation or PEMF, some of these different technologies that you've ended up incorporating into neurofield?
I well, yeah, I started researching stimulation before the birth of my son in 2002. I've been trained in neurofeedback for 12 years at that point, doing EEG neurofeedback. I had heard about the replacement for electroconvulsive therapy, which was repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, developed by Anthony Barker in the UK back in the 90s, actually the 80s. And it was a less invasive method that didn't cause a seizure, and it could help people with profound depression. I was very interested in that, and but I had never gone into it deeply until necessity is the mother of invention, basically. And so when my son was born, he was born hypoxic and suffered from a brain injury as a result. And at that point, I thought, I needed a way to be able to rehabilitate his brain. I had worked with a lot of people over the 12-year period doing neurofeedback, and I knew from my experience of working with children that it would take longer to be able to rehabilitate somebody when their injury is multiple years out from the original event. And, to train somebody in neurofeedback, the kid's got to be at least 5 or 6 years old, and it's difficult to be able to do that. So I started looking into electromagnetic stimulation, and that's when I saw Barker's work on TMS, but that was far too aggressive to be able to use on a baby. So then I started looking into, is it possible to use something on the very low end? And in what I mean by low end, low intensity stimulation. And that's when I found the low intensity neurofeedback system, which was called the lens. I utilized the lens for a couple of years, and it did have clinical utility with my son. It helped him significantly to start to get better. But we plateaued with the system because there was only a certain amount of output that you could get out of it. And at that point, I realized that I needed something more intensive. And that's why I developed the electromagnetic system.